Hi YouTube, welcome to Friday. Mark here. This week we are participating in the Be the Change project that the Trevor project is starting. It's the Be the Change video contest. There we go. Be the Change video contest. We are a little bit late to the party. Most of the collab channels did this last week, but we're new, so we are doing it this week. I'm very excited about this. This is something that I feel so passionate about because this is something that I guess I can personally relate to. So I'm going to tell you a little story. And it's a little story about me, and I hope that the other channel people don't mind. But I'm just going to do it. Once upon a time, I was 13, and there were all these things going on in my body that I didn't understand. Like, there was hair in places that I didn't understand why, and things like that. But all those things I had learned about in school, at least at one point or another, and I knew that they were going to happen to me eventually. But the part that I didn't understand was why I found myself not so into the girls, more into the dudes. I didn't really understand that. And up to that point in my life, and a little bit after that point too, I should say, I was a very strong Christian, more internally. I mean, I wasn't really raised that way. It was just something that I had kind of come upon on my own. I had always believed in God, and I had always been into Christianity, and that was my thing. And I'm definitely not going to stand here and just preach about how I think Christianity's wrong, or, you know what I mean? I'm not going there, because that's really not related to what we're talking about. But my Christianity probably was the biggest factor in kind of making me realize that I felt very like I felt like I was sinning. I felt like I was doing something wrong by feeling the things that I was feeling. And it was awful because I wasn't in control of what I was feeling. I would have to say that the moment that you realize that you are LGBT is probably the most helpless you'll ever feel in your life, because you feel like you have nowhere to turn. This is something that's going on inside your body, inside your mind, that you feel like no one else around you would understand, no one else around you would ever experience. At least that's the way it feels. The reason that I love this Be the Change project, and the reason that I love the Trevor project, is because if I had that kind of resource, I probably would have come out a lot sooner, and I probably would not have been in nearly as much pain as I was for a good year and a half, where I wasn't really sure about anything, and I felt disgusted with myself. I genuinely did, and there was a lot of self-loathing that went along with it, and I wouldn't have had to deal with that if I had known about something like the Trevor project. So I guess I need to answer the call that Be the Change actually is, which is, how can you be the change in the LGBT community? This is kind of unrelated to what I actually just talked about, but I definitely wanted to get that out there first. One thing that I think that anyone in the LGBT community can do to be the change is to cut it out with the internal LGBT discrimination that we have. This is something that my channel mates didn't talk about, but it's something that I would like to bring up now. Something that I noticed, especially, I would say, I mean, this is generalizing, so please forgive me, but probably even more in the gay male community, there's definitely there's some internal homophobia. That's kind of dramatic sounding, but I think you guys know what I mean, where people who fit into different gender roles, or people who kind of act differently within the community, are sometimes kind of like outsiders. And this can go either way. It can be, if a guy is acting kind of feminine, people don't want to be around him because he's enforcing the stereotype. Or if a guy is acting super manly, or, you know, if a girl is acting very feminine, or, you know, acting the way they normally would as in their gender role, they get kind of pushed aside because it's, oh, you're not one of us, you aren't different, you know, you don't have the same struggles that we have. And I'm just here to say that both of those approaches are pretty just not correct. A lot of the problems that I think we have within the LGBT community come from this complex that everybody needs to act the same, and acknowledging stereotypes, either by enforcing stereotypes or actively pushing them away. Neither of those are correct. The best way that you can stop people from outside the community from stereotyping the community is by not acknowledging the stereotypes in the first place. Just be who you are, love everyone, and love yourself. And by loving yourself, you'll encourage other people to love themselves. It doesn't matter if you're short, if you're tall, if you're muscular, if you're skinny, if you're fat, if you're hairy, if you're all of those labels that I could go on and explain. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're manly, it doesn't matter if you're girly, it doesn't matter if you're completely androgynous. It shouldn't matter. What matters is if you love yourself and you love other people and you treat everyone that you meet with respect regardless of the way that they act and regardless of who they are, and appreciating people for who they are, not what they are. That's a big thing that I think that I do every single day. I've been called names. I've been treated pretty poorly by people both outside the LGBT community and within it based on the way that I act, based on the way that I choose to express myself. I'm able to defeat those people by just not acknowledging the stereotypes at all, not acknowledging the name calling in the first place, because I know that I'm above that. I am who I am, and I'm proud of myself for who I am and the things that I've overcome. And if everybody can work towards that goal, although of course it is difficult, if everybody can work towards that of accepting themselves and accepting everyone else, honestly, we would be able to focus on the things that are more important, which, in my opinion, is gaining human rights that we've been denied for so long now. If we could just let go of the hate, I think that we would be able to make a lot more progress, and I think that a lot more people would be comfortable with coming out. And ideally, the Trevor Project would be a lot less busy. That hotline would not be ringing nearly as much if we can all learn within the community to accept each other and accept everyone. That's all I really have to say. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next Friday.